Shalom and greetings from Jerusalem, Jane. I just walked in the door, just doing a little bit of food shopping before Shabbat. My washing machine is spinning. Rain has entered the Holy Land. They got a lot of rain in Tel Aviv. It's supposed to arrive in Jerusalem also, so I need to have my laundry done before Shabbat and before the rain comes. 7 years ago today, I was literally throwing up, and I was in complete shock and completely horrified. News broke that there had been a terror attack, and it turned out that 2 Palestinian terrorists had entered a synagogue in Jerusalem, and they literally butchered 4 Jewish fathers who was praying, bringing axes, turning that place into a slaughterhouse. Photos were coming out with body parts and blood all over the place. I remember I had to report about it in a radio show in America later that night, and I couldn't hold back my tears. People could hear me crying, speaking about that. Why am I standing for Israel? Why am I reporting about every single terror attack that is happening here? Because you don't hear it in mainstream media. Because the rest of the world only care when Jewish people are building houses in Judea and Samaria, but dead Jews, they don't care about, not so much. I have started a series speaking about things that happened in Denmark that brought me here to Israel, and also I will be sharing about things that had happened in my life while I have been living here in Israel. The first blog came out called Testimonies from Israel, meeting Yasser Arafat, and I would really appreciate if you would read this blog and also share it out. In 1991, Yasser Arafat arrived in the Danish parliament, and my mother and I traveled by train for 6 hours, and we stood against him with huge Israeli flags. That day I really realized that when it comes to Israel, it's a battle about good and evil. It's about between God and Satan. And you can read all about it in this blog. What really stood out and what was really remarkable was that 10 years after that day, I was down in Arad, south in Israel, and I was in a meeting with a lot of women that I didn't know, so I'm sharing about this testimony. There's a woman from England, and her face turned completely white, and she says, "That was you?" And I said, "What?" And she says, "Well, I was living in England, and they shared in the news that Yasser Arafat was arriving in Denmark, and then they filmed you and your mom standing with the Israeli flag, saying not everybody agreed of Denmark welcoming Yasser Arafat, and it made her cry. As a Jew, she was deeply touched that someone was standing for Israel, and she says, I can't believe 10 years later, Jane, I'm sitting here in a living room in Israel meeting you." You can imagine I nearly dropped off my chair as I started crying. I was saying, "Are you serious?" So it was just like that testimony came to a full circle. It was really, really moving for me. I want to show you something else. We had another terrorist attack only a few days ago. You can see it here. 2 border police officers are walking in the old city. As you can see, they are walking, talking, and all of a sudden a Palestinian terrorist is running up, and he's stabbing the male police officer, and then the female police officer is literally fighting off this terrorist, and then a security guard for a yeshiva comes out and also shoots, and they're taking out the terrorist. That is why I wrote this blog. That is why I'm standing with Israel, because we see these terrorist attacks happening over and over again for no other reason that Jewish people are fair game, living in their God-given homelands, living in the nation that God gave to them. But because the Palestinians need to liberate Palestine, they should go out, and they are going out, and they are attacking and murdering the Jewish people in synagogues, in supermarkets, shooting them in their cars, shooting them in their streets, ramming attacks. Every other day we have cars being stoned. I'm sorry, my washing machine is making noise. It's part of everyday life. So I would appreciate if you will read this blog, that if you haven't read it yet, and share it out. Like I said, it's the beginning of a series of me talking about my testimonies living in Denmark and what brought me here to Israel and the things that I have been doing here in the Holy Land while I am here. Please also allow me to end this video, and again my washing machine it's singing in the background. Through my entire time living here in Israel, I have not been funded by anyone. I am solely doing all of the work by myself, all alone. A Gofundme page was set up for those of you who are saying, wow, Jane, we are being blessed by who you are and what you're doing. And you know that I'm in a situation now where I have to find a new apartment. I have to move January 1st. Please go and visit the Gofundme page where you can read so much more about me and my story, and you have the opportunity to sow a seed into my work here in Israel to continue for me to be that voice speaking up for Israel, blessing the Jewish people, just trying to do my part in sharing what's going on. God bless each and every one of you. Have a wonderful weekend. Shabbat Shalom. Enjoy the rain if you are living in Israel. And when this washing machine is done, I'm gonna put out my laundry. Me and my house will always serve the Lord, and me and my house will always stand with Israel for such a time as this. Shabbat Shalom. Bye.